Alright, hey Data Rockstars, we are back, and today we are doing a bird app. Sadly, not the bird app that identifies the lovely creatures in your backyard and all the wonderful colors and behaviors that they have. Instead, we are doing Twitter. So, Twitter, love it or hate it, think it's destroying the world or making it better, it is nonetheless a unique social media platform in that it is more conversation based, more text based, and generally more public than most of the other platforms. So, that obviously has pros and cons to it, but as far as analyzing it, the more public it is, the more easy it is to see those conversations that people are having with brands or celebrities or politicians or things like that because it's all out there to see. It's almost like having a window into customer service sometimes, or even being able to slide into replies with Wendy's for a joke or other sorts of celebrities that you normally wouldn't be able to slide into their DMs on Instagram or Facebook. So it's quite an interesting space to be in and analyze. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that today as we pop in, but why is it even relevant? I know you might be asking why Twitter. I don't care. I'm either interested in Be Real recently over the last few months or TikTok over the last 3 years. Why Twitter? So it's definitely still in the news. It does have a smaller percentage of the overall social media base that we are looking at across platforms. It has been around a little while. So over the last decade, you can see the monthly average users growing to near 400 million. So you've got the monthly active users there. So we're talking around, 200, 300, depending on how you count it. You will see in these graphs. So the addition of a special word in there, monetizable daily active users, is different than we have seen when we've looked at other social media platforms. So that is giving us a hint that there's something amiss here. And you will notice that in different articles. So you will notice in the acquisition from Elon Musk potentially why there might be an issue with bots. But as you will see here, there's a monthly average users growing. Even on Statista, monetizable is called out. Another thing to think about too, I'm sure, like I just alluded to, does Gen Z use Twitter or not? So there are different takes on that. This is a particularly funny quote here. We have Twitter was a hand me down social media platform from millennials. That should already tell you enough, but more specifically, Twitter is not Gen Z friendly. The platform is dominated by millennials, celebrities, politicians, and olds. Harsh, but possibly true. There is an alternate take to that as well. If you're on the Twitter marketing page, because they're obviously trying at least a little bit to sell to brands and advertise, apparently not as successfully as they would like to be, hence the situation they are in now with not making as much revenue as the other social media platforms. But they do have a page here to brands where they're talking about Gen Z dominating the conversation and replies with those brands on campaigns. Obviously, there's a reply and there's actually doing something, buying something, you know, interacting with a brand that leads to something higher value than just replying to a joke from Wendy's. Like you actually have to go and buy the Frosty at Wendy's. So I don't know if they do or not. But this is the alternate take. They do have some metrics on that and having a lot of interaction, and that half of tweets over the course of a year in the US came from Twitter users age 16 to 24 from around 2021. It's interesting. I'm not sure I believe that or not, but I actually would have to check that out. So that is a big metric there. So very interesting, and an alternate take. So you can also check out those monthly and daily average users in the earnings calls and everything like that for the actuals. But we are going to check out what actual profiles have out there publicly. And of course, this week there is an interesting thing happening. Spotify is blowing up with metrics like we've almost never seen it. Taylor Swift and her new album Midnights, launched, I believe, at midnight, has been blowing up on Twitter as well. There's actually even multiple accounts that track T Swift analytics on Twitter. You're getting a little meta here, but you can follow this list along on the Thinkermetrics profile and see all of the crazy stats that are breaking all the records. So a lot of fun there. And a particularly interesting Twitter account. So we can look at this and use it for an example on both the profile metrics, the followers, and the hashtags that are happening here. So this is Taylor Swift 13. She has quite a few followers, 91.4. I swear I just refreshed that and it was 90.4 like too long ago. It did have 300K go up a bit. And if you will search for hashtag Taylor Swift this week, You will notice the TS emoji there, 1160 tweets in the last hour. The previous hour was 1170, so that is a drop of 10 over an hour, but that is still pretty impressive. Obviously, some sort of a brand deal there. The record company and Twitter might have coordinated there to create that emoji, so that's pretty cool. So I was just thinking, 91.4 million followers. All right, so are they bots? Are they fake followers? Are they real? Not that I would suggest that for T Swift. They should all be real. They should all be perfect. I don't want to anger Swifties. That's one thing I know about a Twitter mob. They are awesome people that have a lot of cool things offered. All right, so another thing to think about here is the spam bots as well. So I don't know if they're spam bots. I don't think there's any interference from other governments happening with T-Swift. Maybe. I don't know. I guess could be. But you could buy fake followers. I don't think she would. But we're going to compare. If I were to get 90 million followers, they're probably going to be fake. You can use these services to buy fake followers on Instagram or Twitter. The going price seems to be about $29 or exactly $29 everywhere. So it seems like the market of supply and demand for fake followers has converged on that pricing. There are totally fake followers with fake accounts. There are also sort of agreements like this where maybe they give a linkage to your account and you put a link in your profile page and it connects to their service and then you follow other accounts and they follow you and it's sort of this like weird agreement. And I have tested this out and it is a mess of some people that look kind of real, but like it's not the quality level of followers that are interested in the things that you want them to be, which is your audience. So it depends on what your purpose is. You want a bunch of fake followers so you can try to get a free hotel room in Bali? Might work. I think they're getting a little more sophisticated on that there and actually checking and doing what we're about to do as well. So buying fake followers, up to you. All right, so here's a quick thing you can do like that on a follower audit. So this is followeraudit.com. Has T Swift up here with her number of followers are low. It's changing by the hour, so they're gonna have to run a refresh on their batch process to get all the new ones here. It's got a pretty good score, so not too many fake ones. It's saying maybe 7.92%, and we'll get to this, but the definition of what is fake or whatever's up to how you define it and what you would count there. So is someone that signed up in 2010 for Twitter on the first day, followed T Swift. I don't know if she was on it that early, but and then never logged in again. That's a real follower, but is it real to you and useful? Um, maybe not. Maybe they live in Antarctica now and can't log in on a good connection. So you never know. All right, so that's one. What we're going to do actually is use SparkToro. So you can pull up SparkToro yourself, a really cool tool. They do a great digital marketing office hours once a month. Highly recommend signing up for that with Amanda and Rand, really cool people that are really fun to show you a lot of different tools, even beyond their own on SparkToro. And you can run it for T-Swift 13, run that audit. I clicked it before, and here it goes. So we've got fake followers audit for Taylor Swift 13. It says 32.5, but if you'll notice, I have the definition here. They've got kind of a stricter definition. It says they're unreachable and they won't see the tweets either because they're spam, bots, propaganda, etc., or they're no longer active. So kind of like I was talking about on signing up for Twitter in 2010 and not being active, it's not counting those. But if you look at this, this is actually pretty solid compared to a lot of accounts. You've got maybe that amount in the lower quality. The average is here. This is that distribution visually, and then this is the high quality. And considering there are 91.448 million, it's a lot of good accounts. And so this is actually breaking down to their model of what is weighted for those accounts. So this is actually a pretty sophisticated analysis, and they have their opinion on what is weighted more or not. And the Spark score is 100. So for an account with 90 plus million followers to have that kind of a score is pretty impressive. So pretty legit. So if I was going to sponsor something and pay millions of dollars, I mean, again, you want to be efficient. So if you're going to, hire an influencer, that's one of my, soapbox things when we talk about influencers and everything. It's like, are they efficient at giving you the audience you want and getting that audience to do the thing you want them to do, either now or in the future? And maybe depends on what you want to sell them. So let's go ahead and go to another tool. So Vicinitas.io, and we had to change this from last semester. These tools change every week or two as they update them, and some go out of business and change. This one's great. So it also connects to your Twitter account like that previous audit did. So Twitter has an API and everything like that, and they do like some sort of paid connections for some companies that are preferred partners. But this connects to your own account. You don't have to have any tweets. You don't have to have anything like that. It just does that for kind of verification and making sure you're not a bot that is actually taking a ton of traffic and everything like that. So it is connected to you. So once you click hashtag or tweets, hashtag their own user tweets or their followers, you're able to download and export to Excel. So it's able to run it first for T Swift's tweets, and we have that here. So it downloaded 1,721 of those tweets. So she doesn't really tweet a lot. And then you can click export to Excel, and it will create an Excel file and download. So I already did that down there, but we can see kind of a little word cloud. So what are the trends in the words that she is saying in those tweets? So that's different than if we were looking at hashtags or tweets mentioning her. This is in her own tweets. They're predominantly promotional, just mentioning streaming, record, album, Midnight, the new album there. Oops, I just clicked that. So it's already searching Twitter for it. Here's kind of the engagement timeline, posts, what post types they are over here: photos, videos, and GIFs, and replies and retweets and everything like that. Some related hashtags in those posts, mentions, and other things. So a lot of interesting data there, but we can bring in those tweets and analyze themselves in Tableau, which we'll do in a minute. But we also want to do hashtags. So like we were searching before, we saw the hashtag Taylor Swift. I'm sure there's a bunch of other related ones, maybe T Swift, Swifties, who knows? There's a lot of those. We can go ahead and search that. And this, because we are a free account, it's only going to let us do up to, it says 2,000 recent tweets containing your choice of things there. So it's going to take a few minutes to run through those 2,000. I like to do 2,000 actually or more, because that gives us a good sample size of the variety of things that can happen. If it's something like, under 50, that doesn't really give you a good set. It could just be a chunk of really specific ones that are about one topic, and we want to really see as much as we can from a variety of people and places around the world to get a good feel for that. So we're going to run that and pull 2,000 of those tweets with that hashtag to check out in Tableau as it pulls in these tweets so far. Almost there to 2,000. Looks like it's going over. All right, well, if you want to give me some free extra ones, it's probably going to stop that in a second. It's 2052. I don't know, I got 52 bonus ones. I don't know what's going on with that, but I'll take it. Click export to Excel. And downloaded. So awesome. We got some Excel files going. Also want to do followers. So let's see, out of those 90 plus million, let's download followers. So we're going to notice something a little bit different when we do followers here. It just okay, there we go. It's going to give us some options. So on this, we can export into Excel for free up to 5,000 followers. So it's not going to give us 90 million, but as it rolls this in, it's going to give us some options here. So I'm going to let it go up to the 5,000, but we can choose which ones we want to pull out of that based on the followers with the most followers, if that doesn't break your brain a little bit, or the followers that follow the most other accounts, the followers with the most tweets, the most favorites, or the most recent activity. So a little bit of a brain breaking scenario there. Just pick the one that makes sense. I'm going to go with maybe most followers. Depends on if you want to reach those big brands or big influencers that have this huge following, or you want to reach the people most recently interacting about that. Really depends on your purposes there, but just think through the logic of what you are trying to do and then choose the one that fits the best for that. And I'm just going to pick the most followers, and I'm not going to wait, but you can wait till the 5,000 followers are there and click export to Excel. And then we will be good to go to hop into Tableau and look at some of this content, when it was posted, what other attributes are on it, and find out if there are some trends or breakouts or other relationships between things like we were looking at in Data Rockstars. It is Tableau time. I've got a drink. Don't worry. We do not YouTube under the influence. We are drinking Can Euphorics, not sponsored. Hashtag no ad. We are going to bring in the 3 data files that we pulled from Vicinitas, and we're going to graph them, see what we can find out on the followers of Taylor Swift, the recent posts with hashtag Taylor Swift, as well as her own tweets. So we're going to bring in that data, new data source. We are bringing in Excel files this time. Sometimes we bring in CSV files with that more, but we're bringing in the T-Swift followers for one. Bring that in here. Here's the data source tab in Tableau. We want to make sure everything is right before we start graphing it because it does its best at figuring out what things are, and it is not always right, which I can see immediately. So we have that unique ID for each one of these followers. We're going to make that a whole number. So that number there, so we can make sure we can individually graph those followers. You can see it's got that name and screen name, that profile name, and the ABC text string. We're noticing 2 date terms there that we need to change. So we have UTC and created at. So let's look at what UTC is. So coordinated universal time is that standard so that everyone can refer to a one number set that is that time, and then they do like -1 and +1 for those other time zones, but that's the standard that they can use from. So you'll see that there. A lot of these things in data are seemingly simple, but also kind of challenging in the date format, and where the month and date are is obviously a simple one between Europe and the United States on the month date switch, but there's a lot of other things. So you can really get tripped up by a lot of the simple things and like dates or units of measure and everything. So data quality is super important to be able to make sure you're graphing the right things at the right time. A lot of weird stuff can happen. You can ask NASA about like unit of measure changes between metric and imperial, and a lot of the big expensive things that have happened. I've definitely seen that in manufacturing and spending all night trying to fix data issues for things that changed by 0.000001. But we want to make sure those are dates. We've got our measures, our followers following, favorites, tweets, and things like that. Those look good. We do have location, but that is not as good. While Hoboken looked like it fit, the location being radio, TV, and the internet did not fit. So that is not going to be easily interpretable by Tableau. So we're just going to leave it as a text string. We will see these 3. So if you're not a data or math person before now, you'll notice TF or true false. So that is Boolean, pronounced Boolean, not pronounced like this with Jolene. Not so try not to do that. It is and you can bring those in here, and we're going to do a new sheet. So these are the followers of T-Swift. We have their name, profile, and the metrics and things like that. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to bring that user ID, drop it onto details. So here is everybody in a very minimalistic graph, bunch of squares. So of these squares, I'm trying to think of what we want to look at about those followers. So the followers of T-Swift, how many followers do those followers have? Try not to break your brain with that, but I'm trying to think of, who are those most impactful, influential people. I follow her, so the like 30 people that follow me, that's not going to be really high on here, but like who follows them a lot. So I'm going to drop that onto color. You're not going to immediately see the 3 that pop out there. So I'm going to put followers as our tab. Just really want to change sheet 1 and get out of that as we have more and more tabs. We don't want to lose where we are and what this is actually of. And you may not use this graph. It's kind of abstract, but it does tell us really quickly who to look at. So user ID 953, etc. is the follower there. So we're going to drop name onto tooltip and screen name, and now we can see that DraftKings is they have a huge following, and they are a follower of T Swift, as well as that one and that one. So we haven't talked about this as much before, but I cannot protect you from the internet. I have no idea who all of these 2,000 people are. I don't approve of anything they have posted, are posting, or will post in the future. If you see anything that is not good for you on here, just cover your eyes and turn off the internet. I don't know what else to tell you, but that is what the internet is like. So we're going to go ahead and right click on this and duplicate it and see what else we can do. What else would we like to see? So we have number of followers there. We also have number of favorites. So maybe we bring in favorites up there and number of tweets here and see if there's a relationship between the number of tweets and the favorites. And then I'm going to bring back in that followers also to the size of the shape there. So maybe we do this in a more filled in shape and uh, do a little bit lighter there. So that number of followers, we can edit these always. That kind of ends up being a little bit messy. So let's change that just to simple followers. And we can put T Swift followers versus favorites, which still sounds a little datey. You want to sound a little bit more human, like um, you know, does or is there a relationship between number of favorites and number of tweets or T followers? That's a little bit long-winded, but like you get the idea. It's trying to move to more of a human question, so that way the viewer can look at a graph and be like, "What am I trying to see here?" And like in this case, it's a relationship. You could even try to draw like trend line to see how that works out, but up to you. Depends on the scenario there. All right, so that's one piece of data. Let's do a new sheet and let's bring in a new data source. Gonna bring in the Excel. So we've got our followers there. Let's bring in T-Swift's own tweets. So we have two files here now. So in Excel, they had two tabs. So it doesn't automatically just bring in one. When you have one, you have the tweets that she made and then users. So in this case, it's just her. So the users will just be her repeated throughout there and her profile details. So all we need is tweets. So we're going to bring those in. Similarly, do the same changes we did for this and change our dates again to date and time. And see if we have anything else to change. I think that's it. So now we've got her own tweets and we have tweet ID. So instead of user ID, I'm going to bring tweet ID to the detail. And we also have time. So we have either the created at or the UTC. They are the same. If you look at the data source, they should be interpreted identically, and they are. So we are good to go. So I'm going to bring created at up here. It's bringing it by year. So now you can see a little bit of a pattern for year. That's kind of interesting. You could do P Swift tweets by year, and maybe you could put favorites on color. Change that to something else. And created at sounds too robotic. I know, it just want the year. We're good there. So now you can immediately see which ones were of interest. You could even do different things here, like maybe by type. So there's replies, retweets, and tweets. So something to look at too, especially when you're looking at like a brand, like you have the crafted professional tweets that they're tweeting out on that main timeline of post. And then you have replies, which may be a customer service thing. It may be kind of a gratitude thing. It could be a lot of different things. So you could exclude some of these in whatever analysis you're doing, like exclude replies, exclude retweets, because that's usually in someone else's language. There might be the little bit of text you put above a retweet, but it's kind of a different thing to look at there. And you can make this a little bigger. And let's try some other stuff with this. What other graphs could we make? We could try to make a, let's go to exact dates, change tweet, or change the tweet type to color, and you've got overtime there as well. So now you can see when there are regular tweets and when there are retweets and when there are replies. So there's like not a lot of replies back in the day, and then they start picking up here as well. So maybe we look at favorites per size and exaggerate that. And now we can put T-Swift tweets by year and tweets. Clean up this a little bit. Get rid of that. It's an enormous amount of favorites. Awesome. Maybe we'll make that different shapes, whatever works good for you. Maybe make it a little bit lighter so you can see where they overlap. So we've got that, we've got that. Let's see what else we can do. Let's go ahead and let's do only her tweets. So I'm gonna right click and, oh, that was exclude. I wanna right click and keep only and see if we can do something a little fun. Maybe we can do that match mark color. Make it a little bigger. And let's change this to black. And let's change the shape color to yellow. And let's change the shape to a star. So look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. It's like they were all yellow. And let's make that yellow as well so we can see the title. It's right here. Primary tweets. I don't know how else to describe it. Let's see, timeline tweets. That's not, I don't know, profile tweets. Sounds good. All right. So we can look at one more data source. Excel, bringing in Vicinitas search results is how it saved it. That is the hashtag results. So we have two options. So this one makes a little more sense for the second one. So this is a list of all those tweets, the 2000 of the whatever number are happening right now. So probably the most recent ones it brought in instead of the last 12 years of them. And then the other tab is the users that made those tweets. So the previous file, we're looking at T-Swift's tweets. So the user was her. This one is all of those people. So if you actually just wanted to analyze the people making those tweets, that's totally legit. So you could bring in that if you want. You drop in users here, and you would see all the info about those users. So instead, I'm going to remove that, and I'm just going to bring in those tweets with hashtag Taylor Swift. Let's see what we can craft there. So bring that in here, and of course we have to make sure Tableau did this right again. So that's a little bit annoying that it hasn't just figured that out already, but that's okay. So we're just gonna make our little tweaks here, change the time to date and time again, ad nauseum. If you do use Tableau Prep in the future, there's a lot of the stuff that you can just set up and make it automatic, but we are just kind of more in manual mode right now. But we are good to go with all of that, I believe. So we can pop in here. Now we've got tweet ID, drop into detail. Let's make this, okay, we'll bring in favorites and change that to a circle graph again. Into maybe a media type there. And let's look media type color and create it at exact date. So this is all just going to be today, basically, since there is so much activity going on online. It's really kind of a good time for us to be doing this. It's kind of great timing. So a lot there with not many favorites. So I actually want to change this. I'm going to click Control on my keyboard so it stays on the rows, but it's also on a filter. I'm going to say at least one favorite. So most of us out there are tweeting into the void. It's almost like weird to be posting so much on social media and then no one's liking it. But that's kind of what happens. It might have impressions when people view it, so I guess that's one thing, but whether they actually like it or not is interesting. So these have at least one. Could even maybe do it like maybe, maybe your mom likes your tweet, and so the one's pretty easy. So let's make it two. Yeah, that just cut down almost everything there. Even the bots will like some stuff that we post, so that makes it a very small subset that actually gets likes. So this is kind of interesting. Let's get it off those default colors, drop it to something a little cooler, and let's do a different shape. Let's call it a plus for that since we're getting likes. Change the opacity a little bit lower. Add a label, and let's make that label match the mark color. Let's make it a little bigger. All right, so these are those posts. So, considering we're looking at those, let's call this hashtag Taylor Swift. And these are the ones with the most favorites of the subset of the tweets we got, but pretty recently. And the text is interesting. So we're going to get into the text more in the next video, but you could put that there. You could also put the screen name there as well. So maybe I just have the screen name. So there we go. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, let's keep it with that. Maybe do the text as a tooltip. So if you want to see what it says, you could hover over and get that and go from there. So a lot of fun stuff you can graph. Really, a lot of different options. You could choose the number of hashtags there. You could choose mentions. You could, add retweets, whatever you'd like to do. But yeah, give those graphs a try. See if there are any interesting breakout posts. See if there's any other trends or relationships. Whatever you want to explore in this data, there is so much there to find out and see what you can make out for your brands or influencers or celebrities.